My name is John Mugno, and welcome to Rye Brook Focus. Our guest today is Briggitte Dix, the chairperson of the Village of Rye Brook Sustainability Committee. Welcome, Briggitte.
Hi, thank you for having me. So I have been a resident of Rye Brook for about 5 years now, and I've been active with the Sustainability Committee, I want to say for about 2 years, and then I became chair over the pandemic maybe about a year ago. So I've been active in environmental conservation ever since I was a teenager. I've always had a love for animals, the planet, and I've done everything from helping rescue sea turtles in college, and now I'm actually a New York State licensed wildlife rehabilitator. So I do have a great interest in that, as well as just doing as much as I can as a person to help the planet that I live on and help our community. So.
Oh, great. What, Briggitte, as we've spoken earlier, how do you define the remit of the village's sustainability committee?
So the overarching tone is that we're here to help promote the local environmental conservation. And we do that through community education, the creation of local programs that people can get involved in. And so for us, it's just trying to create as much harmony with nature, with wildlife, trash reduction, planting of native plants. And I think there's a big umbrella of environmental conservation, but we try to bring it home to a local level.
Okay, and I know you've got several active programs. The committee does. Why don't we talk about two of them? The Healthy Yards program and the Food Scraps Recycling program.
Okay, so Healthy Yards is one of our newer programs. What it is, it's a gardening program that promotes the use of native plants, sustainable gardening practices. That could mean not using a leaf blower, not spraying pesticides, and trying to do things in a way that's more sustainable in your garden to create a biodiverse ecosystem within your yard. We also highlight local plants that are important to pollinators, such as the monarch butterfly, the hummingbirds, and talking about different host plants that you can plant in your garden. And it seems to be popular with local gardeners. Right now we have about 30 households participating, but we're hoping to expand that even further soon.
Where would a householder find information about, say, what plants are friendly to pollinators, or what pesticides or herbicides they should stay away from? Are there links on the Sustainability Committee's webpage?
Yeah, so we do have a whole Healthy Yards page on our website. That's a portion of the Village of Rye Brook website. But we also post a lot on our Facebook page, and now we also have an Instagram page about seasonal plants that are great for pollinators. And we are planning on we have an upcoming event that's a seed exchange where we're going to be giving out information. But we also want to do in the future some educational workshops for people within the village. And of course, a lot of it's Google. You can find this just by searching your zone, New York native plants. There's tons of information through Cornell and through the local botanical gardens.
And okay, do you think people, do you think people are aware that there are, I mean, I'm sure people are aware of harmful pesticides, but are they aware of what you might call plants or that are favorable to pollinators? That's another level of knowledge, I would think.
Yeah, I think it's somewhat of a new phenomenon that people are actually thinking about this, because, there still is, and there used to be even more so, a mindset of like, oh, I want the perfect green grass that's perfectly trimmed with the bushes and no bugs. I don't want any bugs in my garden. But the truth is that a garden is really supposed to be a biodiverse ecosystem, and it's good if you have native bugs on your plants that are sometimes eating the leaves, because those turn into our local butterflies, our local moths that are so important to pollinating certain flowers and fruits, and including the bumblebees. So when you see a local healthy yard, you do see a lot of bugs. And for a lot of people, that's a different sort of mindset because they've been taught their whole lives to think, oh, I don't want to be around insects. But they serve a very important purpose. So a lot of that is also us educating people about the importance of different insects in the ecosystem here.
Yeah, it's, I mean, you see, if you just go around the village, that a lot of people aspire to the type of lawn you described, which may not be the best lawn for, the pollinators or things, other creatures that could make it more disease tolerant, for example.
Mhm. Yeah, and the great thing I always tell people, one of the best things about native plants is they are so low maintenance because they're meant for this environment. So a lot of the plants that people have in maybe a traditional garden are plants that are from Asia or from Europe. And you have to do a lot of work to keep those going. And sometimes you have to replant them every single year. With native plants, it's a single investment, or you put out the seeds and you never have to do anything again. They don't need to be watered once they're established. You don't have to trim them. So it really is a low maintenance yard that helps the local wildlife. And there's a lot of beauty in that. My neighbors constantly ask me, oh my gosh, what do you have planted? You have so many butterflies. We want to bring that into our yard. And there's actually, even for people that might be interested in something like this, once a year, there's a Healthy Yards garden tour where you can go around to the local healthy yards and you can see what they look like. And, even places like the New York Botanical Gardens, they have entire sections just dedicated to native plants. And those are beautiful gardens that anybody would love in their house. So it doesn't necessarily need to look wild for it to be something that really benefits the environment.
When do you think the next Healthy Yards tour will be?
So it takes place over the summer. We don't organize it as a committee. It's part of the broader Healthy Yards program that's nationwide, but we do take part in it. And so like last year, my garden was on the tour. And so there's definitely Rye Brook and Port Chester gardens that you can go to, and in Rye as well. But we do post that information on our Facebook page, and we'll post it on our Instagram page if people would like to attend.
Right. It's, okay. I mean, one of the issues which the Rye Brook Focus program has, to me, revealed is that there is a challenge in getting information out to people on a whole variety of issues, because there's the one weekly newspaper, and then otherwise it's people having to go kind of look for things rather than things being pushed out to them. So I think it's not just your committee, it's pretty generalized, I think.
Yeah.
And I think we have to work on that.
Yeah, it is hard. And there's not, especially in such a small town, there's not a perfect way to get information out there, but we certainly do our best. And on Facebook, at least, we've had great growth. We started off, when I first started off on the Sustainability Committee, I think we had 200 followers. We now have almost 600 people following us. And
Oh,
that's a lot of people getting information on a regular basis, which is amazing, I think.
well, that's really, I'm actually very impressed. 600, I think, is a pretty good number for the community.
Yeah.
And I assume the village itself, on its weekly emails, will tell people about things like the Healthy Yards Tour.
Yes, and we've been sending them things to add to the emails. So people should be seeing more and more of information from the Sustainability Committee on the Rye Brook emails as well.
Oh, okay. And then there are some kind of another initiative which you just started, the Too Good to Trash program. Could you tell us a bit about that?
So Too Good to Trash is a way to try to mitigate some food waste that's not on a residential level, but actually our local businesses. And so we are hoping to divert things that would normally, let's say you have a bakery, or you make sandwiches, and at the end of the day, you have things left over, but you only sell fresh bread every morning. Well, that bread is still good, so why don't we divert it to area food banks in Port Chester, where there's several of them just down the street, versus having them tossed in the trash. So that's sort of what the program does, is we just match these businesses with area food banks that will come and pick up the items at the end of the day on a schedule, so that that food doesn't end up in the landfill.
Oh, how many local businesses participate?
So we just started the program. So right now we're reaching out to businesses. So we haven't, it's launched, but we haven't actually started doing it yet.
Ah,
But we're hoping to get, obviously grocery stores, even places, drugstores, anywhere that has any sort of food, to donate it versus tossing it out.
and so we have a couple of supermarkets, couple of restaurants, couple of bakeries that are all probably good candidates to
Mhm.
participate. If you take a company that's not owned locally, is it that they need to get permission from their home office, or is that hard to get, or are the decisions made by the local management?
So our experience, just from having the plastic straw and styrofoam ban that it was enacted a few years ago, is that yes, you do have to contact the corporate office, which is something that we're in the process of doing, just to let them know what we're trying to do, and then you meet with the management, because a lot of times if you go straight to the management, they say, well, corporate has to okay it first. So to hopefully get them involved as well, because it is something that's so easy and simple. We're trying to make it as simple as possible, to do the right thing, to get the food over to people that need it.
Right. That sounds like a really good initiative, because as you know, there's still a lot of talk about the hunger being a particular problem in Westchester, and the storm and the flooding have made that even worse. What
Exactly.
do those companies just throw the food away now, or are they otherwise donating it, or?
I can't speak on an individual basis. So I do know that in general, across the United States, most places do toss out their leftovers, and it's not because they wouldn't want to donate it. It's because a lot of times when you ask them, they say, well, we don't have the staff to take it there, or we don't have the resources to hold this and then bring it to the food bank every night. And so the program is really a way to take that burden off of them, and to just say, hey, just put it in a bag for us, and we're going to have them come by and pick it up, just have it ready at the end of the day. And so it makes it as easy as possible on them, so that they don't have to do the extra work or have to have somebody, who's on the clock, take it down to the food bank.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like it could take off then. You're providing the business itself with a valuable service.
Yeah,
And
we
would,
hope so. And we're going to any business that participates, we're going to offer them a decal for their window, so that people know that they participate in the program, because we think it is something that people can feel good about, supporting a restaurant or a business that takes part in the program.
right. Brigette, I think one of your more recent initiatives is the community tag sale. Can you give us some detail on what the purpose was and how it went?
Yeah, so we organized a community-wide tag sale, which it was free to participate in. What you did is you could sign up on a map, that we would publish a few days beforehand, and people could drive around and shop the tag sales with all the different items. The whole purpose of the tag sale was to create an event that would help mitigate some of the bulk trash that goes out, I believe once a week here in the village, because we have a lot of usable items that people are throwing away, like dressers and other miscellaneous bulk things. So we were hoping by having something easy like a community-wide tag sale that people could plan on once a year, they would hold on to some of those items and wait for the tag sale and then sell them to people that are going to reuse them versus taking them to the trash.
Right. And you just had it recently, right? The first tag sale?
Yeah, it was over the summer. We wanted to do it when we knew it was going to be warm. And it was nice because of the pandemic. We wanted something that was also outdoors. And because it's individual homes in their front yards, there's not a huge amount of people. So the feedback we got was that it was great. People are asking us if we could do it multiple times a year, which I don't know if we'll do it multiple times a year, but we definitely plan on doing it at least once a year. So.
Okay. And I understand the people who participated, the sellers who participated in the tag sale, there was no percentage of proceeds going to the Sustainability Committee. It was all for whatever they sold it for, they got to keep.
Exactly. Yeah, we weren't charging a fee or asking for a percentage. There were a few tag sales that were donating their proceeds to charity, but that was up to them. So we don't have anything to do with the money portion of it. We just essentially organized the map to allow people to know where to go within the village to shop the tag sales, and we promote it on social media.
Right, right. Okay, and as you say, you hope to do this in the future as well. And is it a lot of organizing effort to arrange the tag sales?
I think, well, it is a lot to put it onto the website, but now that we've formulated a way to do that, I always think the first time you do something is the hardest because you're trying to figure out what system you want to use and people are confused a little bit about what's happening. And so now that we kind of have a formula, it's not one of the hardest things we've organized. I would say we've done some more complicated things in the past. So I think having it be a yearly event is perfect, and that's a totally sustainable thing for us to do as a sustainability committee. So.
And in many of these initiatives, be it the Healthy Yard program, the food scraps recycling program, the tag sale, the Too Good to Trash program you're starting, are the committee members actively involved? Do they go out and are they going to solicit merchants to recycle food, for example?
Everyone on the committee has a different level of participation, depending on what they're available for and what they can do. But I will say that a lot of the members, they do take part and they are going out. We actually, at our last meeting, it was a smaller one because it was right after the flood, but we divided up the letters to the businesses for the Too Good to Trash program. And we are the ones that are going out to deliver those letters and to ask business members to join the program.
Right, so it's a volunteer effort to both think about what programs would make sense and then to implement those programs.
Exactly, and that's why, I would rather have fewer programs that are really well done and that have a lot of participation versus having so many that we can't really, do them to the way that we want to. So we try to think of programs that maybe we can do year after year that have a lot of interest from the community. And the community-wide tag sale was actually thought of because community members came to us and they asked, how do we get rid of these items? Can we do something like this? And so a lot of times we get those suggestions from the community and then we implement them.
Oh, excellent. And I know the work of the Sustainability Committee is distinct from the village's own recycling program. But I think there's some information which I think can be disseminated more because some tricky distinctions are being made where we talked earlier, you can recycle the kind of thicker plastics, but you can't recycle in the same way the thinner plastic, such as your newspaper might come in, or a store might, if you happen to get a plastic bag from some store outside the village of Rye Brook, those cannot be put into the normal recycling.
Yeah, that's correct. Thin plastics are one of the #1 misrecycled items we have here in the village, because it is very confusing, because a lot of them have the little recycling symbol, and a lot of people just assume if it says recycling, I stick it in the main recycling bin. We do have a program that is meant to educate people on what can be recycled. And as far as thin plastics go, the reason why it has to actually be physically taken to a grocery store, like Acme or Wegmans, where they have a thin plastic recycling bin to be recycled. Otherwise, because of the machinery we have here in Westchester, it just can't handle those small sizes of plastic, because it clogs up the machine. And then everything has to be tossed out from that batch. So it is really important that we educate people so that we're not having the recycling go into the trash due to that. So we are trying to use our social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook, to give more education to residents. And I think we're also trying to use the village email to attach, certain things that talk about our programs, like the Recycle Right program.
Right. Okay, well, any final thoughts on what direction or initiatives the committee might be undertaking in the next year or so? What's being considered?
I think we've implemented a lot of the ideas we had considered. So right now we're sort of thinking of fresh ideas. We always have the wheels turning, but we're also open to residents. If residents have any ideas that they would like for us to implement, we always love hearing suggestions as well, because our goal is to make Rye Brook the most eco-friendly town possible. So we're always looking at different opportunities to take that further in the future.
Great, great. Well, thank you very much, Briggitte. We certainly appreciate your time, and it's been very informative to hear what the work of the committee is. And I hope people will view this discussion and it will encourage them to look at your space on the village website, so they'll get more information about sustainability efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.